Hi guys, it is Haifa from Fufu's Kitchen. I am back with a new video today. I'm going to be showing you how to make my summertime favorite appetizer, bruschetta. So bruschetta basically are thin cuts of bread that are toasted, and on top is this delicious fresh tomato salsa, you could say, and it's often served as is or with some cheese like mozzarella, or in this case I'm going to be using burrata, which I'll show you more about once we start working on this delicious dish. So let's get over here. Let me show you the ingredients that you're going to need. You will need some tomatoes, so typically I would use basil, but I really love arugula and I had some in my fridge. I love the peppery note of arugula, so I'm going to be using some arugula in this, but you could definitely use basil or you could use arugula, whatever you have. So tomatoes, and these are all from the garden, which really inspired me to make this dish, are these fresh, beautiful tomatoes, because that is literally the main ingredient for this recipe. Some salt, some pepper, some Parmesan cheese, some balsamic vinegar glaze. It's gonna give it a little tangy sweetness. Some extra virgin olive oil. I'm gonna use some olive oil spray for my bread when I bake it, so it gets that nice crispiness. And then the burrata. So if you guys don't know burrata, it looks just like mozzarella. I could show you. So it looks just like mozzarella, but it's actually super soft inside. It's really creamy in the inside, and it's gonna taste so good with that crispy bread and that fresh tomato. I'll show you how I plate this at the end. And then you're gonna need some garlic. I'll show you a trick with garlic that I do later as well. All right, first thing we're going to do is chop up all these beautiful tomatoes. So we're gonna do that first. And you can see here that I have different kinds. I have Roma tomato, I have different kinds of cherry tomato. Honestly, I wish I remembered what these were called because they're so good, and they're like multicolored, green, a little bit of yellow in there. Yeah, they're so good. So for the cherry tomatoes, I'm just gonna cut them into quarters. But for the Roma tomatoes, I'm gonna cut them a little bit more finely. Yeah, so if you have a garden and you have beautiful tomatoes going in, look at that, look how beautiful and red that is. Then you definitely wanna make this. And plus, tomatoes are really in season now, so even if you were to go to the market and get some, even the farmer's market, you're always gonna get beautiful fresh tomatoes right now. You need to make this dish. I see this dish a lot at Italian restaurants. Honestly, all year round I see it. But burrata has made its way. Everyone knows burrata now. And at first, I was a little worried about where I would find it, but you could actually find it at your local Whole Foods. You could find it at, I got ours from Myers. We have a Myers around us, so I got it from there. And all you have to do is find this brand, the Belgioso? Yeah, the Belgioso brand is really well known for their mozzarella. So you could always look it up, see if a store near you carries it, and then just go pick it up. Trust me, you're gonna want to. It's so good. We literally went out to eat last week to an Italian restaurant, my husband and I, and they had this burrata with arugula, and that's why I was inspired to use arugula as well. So they had that with the crispy bread, but they didn't have it with the bruschetta. They just had it with some crispy bread. So it's honestly what inspired me. Having that dish, along with having these amazing tomatoes in the yard, you just can't go wrong. And this is a great appetizer. Beautiful summertime appetizer if you're having like a barbecue or just like a little brunch. Really easy to put together. You could actually make this salsa with the tomatoes ahead of time. I wouldn't say more than 2 days ahead of time because then it'll get way too soggy. But you could definitely make this fresh tomato salsa a few days ahead of time. and then just crisp up the bread on the spot and top it off. And there you have it, a super easy, delicious appetizer. And I like using all these different tomatoes. It just so happens that I have different ones in my yard. But also if you go to the market and you see like the medley tomatoes where it's all the different colors, grab those because those are gonna look so pretty on that bread. All those different vibrant colors. And when you have a sharp knife, this is easy. So use a sharp knife for this. I'm just gonna give these a quick toss. How beautiful that is. And I put them in this bowl because I'm going to use this bowl to add my olive oil and my salt and my pepper and glaze. There you go. And now I'm going to cut up the arugula. Like I said, traditionally basil is used. So please, if you have amazing fresh basil, go ahead and use that. I actually have a lot of basil in my yard, but I love arugula as well, and I don't always have it on hand. So since I do, I am going to use some arugula. So this is about, I want to say, a quarter cup of chopped arugula. And in here I have about 2 cups of chopped tomatoes. So I'm just gonna add this. And now to this, I am going to, where is this? With my mallet, I'm just going to mash these. So when you mash the garlic, you actually emit a fragrance. It's better than chopping the garlic. You get way more flavor when you mash the garlic. So I'm just gonna mash it. Put it right in there. And I left this one purposely. I'll show you what I'm gonna do with that later. I don't know if you guys ever done what I'm about to show you later, but it's gonna give so much flavor to any bread. All right, so salsa is almost done. We now need salt and pepper. So we're gonna do some pepper, some salt. We are going to do some extra virgin olive oil. This is the Robusto, so it's a little bit more robust in flavor, which I love, but any extra virgin olive oil will work. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons to start, and we could add more if need be. And then we are going to add some balsamic glaze, about 1 tablespoon. There we go. I'm gonna add the Parmesan as a topping at the end. And then what else did I wanna add to this? Yeah, I think this is ready, perfect. So we're just gonna mix everything together. Look at all those beautiful colors and the olive oil. Smells so good, so fresh. Beautiful, you wanna give this a nice quick toss. I'm gonna give it a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. Just mixing it. So this is ready to go. And 3 tablespoons was perfect in my opinion. I don't want it to be too liquidy. I want it to have some substance. So this is the topping. This is ready. Now what we're gonna do is start chopping up our bread. Here I have a baguette. This is some French bread. You could use an Italian loaf or some ciabatta, whatever you have on hand. I'm just gonna take off this end. Let me grab my serrated knife. So serrated knives are great for cutting bread because of all the blades. There you go. So I'm just going to add this to my baking dish. Just going to layer it. I have some parchment paper. Now you could see here that I'm doing it not so thin, but not super thick, right in the middle, because I want it to have a little substance when you eat it. I don't want it to be too crispy, and you don't want it to be too soft either. So medium cut. Let's see. Just want to give it some space on the pan. So I'm just gonna do half the pan. Maybe one more. Perfect. I'm just gonna add this back in here. Keep it nice and fresh. And now what we're gonna do is spray this with some olive oil. You could definitely brush some olive oil. I'm just gonna spray it. It's just easier. So if you have it, go ahead and do that. Or you could definitely just brush some on top. So I don't wanna make too many because it's just my husband and I, even though I'm sure we will devour these in minutes. So I have my oven on high, broil, and I'm going to broil this for about 2 minutes on each side. Do not leave this because it could get really crispy really fast. So I'm mindful that these are in the oven. I'm gonna pop them in. Check back in about a minute or two. Okay, let's start plating. So don't mind this. I love this plate and I will not get rid of it even though it's a little damaged. What I usually do is add something around it so you don't see it. In this case, I'm actually gonna put a piece of bruschetta there so you won't even notice it. And I purposely use this too because I want to show you guys that you could use things that you don't think that you could use. Okay, so I want you to come close and see this amazing burrata. Okay, look at that. Well, first, be careful not to get all that water everywhere. Okay, so I'm gonna add the burrata right in the center. This one happens to come in 4. So just like that. And then I'm gonna open it for you so you could see, and it's gonna look so good. So it looks just like mozzarella, but if you touch it, it's super soft. Look at that. So creamy on the inside. Imagine dipping your bread in there with this beautiful tomato salsa. Oh my God. You guys are gonna be making this appetizer over and over again. I promise you, even after summer is done, you are going to crave this. So I'm just kind of like opening it up. Let's check on our bread. There you go, you see? It got crispy really quick. And the reason why that turned dark is just because we had nothing on it, so it got charred really fast. But look, this is perfect. This is exactly what you want to see. I'm just gonna flip them over to get that other side. Okay. Let's give that another minute. Okay, so this is beautiful. I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil on top just to make it look extra pretty. Just like that, look at that, gorgeous. I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper as well. It's already starting to look so beautiful. And then we're going to add all the bread with the bruschetta around it. I'm gonna close this. This is done. See, it takes no time at all. Okay, so for the bread, let me I am going to use my same cutting board so I don't have too many dishes. And then we're gonna top it off with the tomato salsa. But after, I do one thing. So anytime you wanna add, let me show you right here. Anytime you wanna add extra flavor to a piece of bread. Let's say you're making yourself a really delicious sandwich. Get a clove of garlic, warm up your bread, and then rub it. So if you come here, you see this, you start rubbing and it actually starts taking right from the garlic, and it's gonna add so much flavor to your piece of bread. So I'm just gonna do that. Look at that, you see, it is taking right from the garlic and it's adding that beautiful, fragrant smell and look. So I'm just gonna do that. Perfect. So this is like an extra step for more flavor. And it takes no time at all, really easy. I do this all the time for sandwiches like paninis. All right, perfect. And it took like half the garlic clove. All right, now we're going to add our bruschetta topping. I'm gonna do this like this to make it easier. So let's kind of, see, I'm covering it like that. Let's do a bigger one. Just like that. Look how cute already. Makes for a great appetizer for an Italian-inspired dinner too, if you have this right on the table. And then you just want to spoon your topping, just like that. Just spoon it right over the top. Don't worry if it gets a little bit messy, that's completely fine. Smells so good. I want you to come closer and see how beautiful this looks. You cannot tell me that you can't taste this through the screen. Look at that. So I'm just adding a spoonful on top. And honestly, this is so inexpensive too. You just need some burrata, a piece of bread, a baguette, some tomato and garlic and olive oil. Look at that, beautiful. Just gonna add some of that sauce right on there. How gorgeous does this look? I am so excited to eat this. I want to remind you guys to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fufu's Kitchen, and also go follow me on Instagram at Fufu in the Kitchen and check out my blog.